Hey guys, so this is going to be my attempt at sort of a live video critique, and I might crop some of your pictures sometimes and play with them a little bit just to see how I would maybe make them work better. So this picture, we'll start right off with it. I like the framing. I like the fact that it's kind of off its, it's not centered and there's good blur in the background. It's a fairly low resolution picture because it's an older camera, so it's zoomed in right as well as it'll go. Expression is good. Color balance is pretty good, maybe a little bit on the red side. I wonder if we can take out just a touch. Just naturalizing that. So I'm just taking down the yellows and we don't want it to look green. Just a little bit more natural. It was a little bit overly warm there. And you could probably sharpen it just a touch. So the eyes pop a little bit more. But yeah, it's a nice shot. This one, I like the pose. You wouldn't know this is a trash can unless you knew, which is good. I think it's a little bit overly yellow. So let's tone that down just a smidge. I mean, it brings out this nice kind of yellow tone in her hair there, and then maybe just a touch down with the exposure. But yeah, that's a nice. Actually, I think I like this one maybe a little bit better now. I like that one at first, and this one's good. This one I feel like could be kind of a black and white because I don't really like this color here. I don't think it adds that much to it. This kind of yellow, like the school wall. But if you made it black and white, and maybe even just messing with some of I'm doing just curves adjustments with the overall contrast here. I think it looks better as a black and white. Some of the highlights are a little bit bright over there, but we can't mess with them too much without clipping the detail from your highlights. But again, the framing is good. Maybe with the cropping, bring that in just a touch. Whenever somebody's looking across a picture, I want them to have more space to look into. And we'll put the eyes right on that third there, so that she's not looking outside the frame like, well, what are you looking at? It's like looking into the frame a little bit more. This is nice. Yeah, this one I love the light and the sharpness on her eyes. I think that the cropping choice we made was a good one. I wonder what would it look like with a square crop, 1:1. No, because then we lose the cool like kind of white background. I mean, maybe it's an album cover or something, but yeah. If I were really going to use it, I might do something in Photoshop to get rid of this hair going across here. But I like the sharpness in the eyes and stuff. This is kind of cool. This is cool. I like the gold tone. Shooting from below is always kind of interesting because it gives you sort of a different angle. You're getting more up their noses and kind of chin and stuff. But it also gives you a very specific kind of feel to the picture. It's pretty dark. Like there's very strong lighting going across from here. So, but what you've got is the main part of the face is broad lighting, so you've got most of the face is lit, so that's cool. I'm wondering whether I would want to crop it if it were me. What happens if we bring that down a little bit more so it's... I don't think you really lose anything doing it that way, and you focus on her a little bit more. If it were me, that's what I would do. Good focus on the eyes. Kind of wish we had a little bit more light in the eye there. Like you can see the catch light there, but it would be nice if we had a little bit more color, but I don't think this kind of light would do that. And similar kind of vibe to this one. I wonder, I mean, I was going to say black and white, but then we'd lose this red kind of sign there. It's pretty strong light. If you see like hard light, if you see the line there, the shadow, and you can see it's kind of coming up from below. So her nose shadow is actually this space right here kind of blocking this eye. And then again from the chin, it's doing this kind of line there, which gives kind of an ominous kind of feel to it. Generally, naturally, we expect light to be coming from above because we're thinking of the sun and stuff. So trying to give it kind of that vibe, I think totally works. But it's something to kind of play with multiple kind of approaches to it. I mean, this is more the traditional kind of like straight on. You can see that it's slightly coming from this side because there's a bit of a shadow here, and you can see the edge of the nose shadow there. But good variety there. All right. So this, it looks like maybe a little bit of noise reduction was done. Can you see kind of like the loss of detail here? Good shot of Mr. Heinz. I wonder, like, oh, not a square. Let's make this a 4x5, 8x10. And we're gonna, there. It's a little busy. So I'm trying to like see if I can isolate a little bit more on him. Like this whole chunk here, I don't know that it really adds that much to the picture. So if we crop it in like that, we still get a little bit of that lines and stuff, but it starts to get a little bit more focused on just him. I wonder if the color tone is a little bit off too. Brush, why don't I have that up? I don't need that. Seems a little bit purpley. But good eye contact, focus is good. I think the noise reduction just got turned up a little bit too high, which sort like if you were shooting at 1600 or 6400 ISO, sometimes you need the noise reduction to get rid of the grain, but you lose some of that fine detail too. And particularly what that does is it makes skin start to look kind of plastic, which is a little bit weird. This is cool. I try to be specific with my cropping sizes. That way I can print it more easily. So like going with like, okay, I'm going to do an 8x10 or a 2x3. Those are the two that I use the most. I think 8x10 works better for this. 8.5x11, I guess, but in terms of frame sizes. And if it were me, that's kind of how I would crop it in. So it's that kind of focus there. And I think this one would work well in black and white. Let's see. Why is that thing showing up? There we go. Go away. Let's say black and white. Because I don't think the color adds that much to it. And if the color doesn't add anything to it, maybe it's better to focus on texture. Because then you got like this cool beard texture and the shirt texture and the wall texture. You can maybe increase the clarity a little bit. Bring some of that back out. Exposure. I don't know. I think that works as a black and white. Yeah. This one, again, I would probably crop the same way. Especially since he's looking out across. I think, let's bring it a little bit closer so he's got some space to look across. Otherwise, I'm going to feel a little bit too tight. But like, to me, that's a little bit more of a purposeful kind of crop. And we can take some of that purpley tone out. Just a little bit there. A little bit of clarity. Good and sharp, good focus on the eyes. I like the light. When you've got that kind of window light, having the person look into it, it's a good time for a profile because that way they're being lit and you don't have to find some way to wedge yourself in between them and the window. This is fun. Good light. This is a lot of dead space here though. Again, like I would probably put her face more in this section when I'm lining it up so that she's looking that way. Although it's kind of one of those things where, you know, it probably just happened in the spur of the moment, but even just cropping in like this seems a little bit more directed. But the exposure is good, good focus on the eyes. Yeah. Let's see. This one's got a little bit of motion blur, like camera blur, like he either moved his head a little bit. Does it say? 1/60th of a second at f4. So that's a little bit slow for hand holding. It can, so that would account for some of that blur there. I think the choice of black and white was probably pretty strong. It's a little bit, like the focus is good. I like a good simple background. The light is pretty nice, although it's a little bit low. See that catch light from the window there? See it, and it's popping the nose shadow up higher. I think it's a little bit too straight to the camera for me. Like the shoulders are kind of flat. So twisting the body and looking over one shoulder or something would be kind of good. Or getting down low low, like hunching over a little bit to kind of look up would change things. All right, and then this is good strong color contrast between the orange and the blue. I think that really works. And it's sharper on the eyes too. I don't think I'd really change anything with this one, although I don't like that. So you could always just take this spot removal, which I think will actually work on that because it's such an easy background, and then boom, it's gone. Clarifying that thing. Maybe just crop it in a little bit. And let's see if I overlay. You get various kinds of visualizing tools with the crop tool. Let's see. I want to get his eyes in that part of the curly Q, and then it brings you right down. So I'm just like thinking about like how people look around the picture. It goes down and then into the logo on his shirt a little bit. It's kind of cool that way. Yeah, nice shot. I like the colors. This one is kind of like, I feel like it's like these ones, but just not as good. Like this one is really good. This one's pretty solid. If I was looking at it, I would think of these as like 3 drafts of the same shot. And this is the one that I would say would be the best one. This one's a little bit wider and it doesn't have as much direction to it. His expression is good, but his expression is good in this one too. This one's nice. Her eyes are pretty sharp. It looks like it's a little bit front focused because if you look at how sharp it is on the shirt and then the hand, and it's slightly less sharp there. So it's almost like it's focused a little bit too close to the camera. But I like the kind of nice, soft, even lighting. I like the expression on her face. Eyes look good. Slightly blurry, but otherwise good. Now this, see now the difference in terms of sharpness, this definitely focused on the eye and it's straight front light. So this one, with this, the light's coming from kind of over here, so it's kind of glancing over and sort of wrapping around. This one, the light is coming straight at her face, maybe slightly at an angle because there's a little bit of shadow there. You want a little bit of shadow to give you some depth. The only thing I'm not a huge fan of with this one is the background is pretty busy. There's a lot going on there. 34 millimeters, one's f5. So yeah, this I think was with a prime lens, could have stopped it up a lot more to blur out the background. At f1.8, we'd have a much, I mean, there'd still be some stuff here, but it would kind of go away. Which would be good because the framing is good, the light is good, expression is good, eyes are good. This one's cool. I wonder if, I was going to say, like, you almost want to make it black and white, but then it kind of is black and white anyways, and I like the little flash of color here. So that one's pretty nice. I like that one. Maybe crop it in just a touch. Let's see. No, not a square. Not that much. I kind of love just playing with things and let's see. Yeah, it simplifies it a little bit. I don't know if that's better or not. Let's keep going. But that's nice. Good exposure. That's fun. Because she's got like, looks like she's having fun and kind of like, I don't know. This though, I would crop in a little bit because there's that dead space at the top that I think is a little bit, it's distracting. Whereas here, it kind of organizes the picture a little bit better. All right, we're gonna pause for just a second. I'm recording. Hey, Mr. Borden. Hey. Oh, long time no see. I'm recording videos right now. Sorry, had to throw out some people. So yeah, good light, good expression. Seems a little low res. How big is the picture? I wonder if it got shrunk. Oh yeah, it's 2048 by 1365, which is like the optimum resolution for Facebook. So I wonder if that's what happened there. So 85 millimeters, 1/640th, f1.8, ISO 1250. I think you probably could have reduced the ISO, like cut that in half, because 1/640th of a second is pretty fast for a portrait where somebody's just sitting there. And that would have cut down some of the grain. Just trying to make sure the focus is all where we want it to be. It seems like it is. That's too much. We can mask out some of that. Do the radius. Nah, I don't like it. It's too harsh. Just a touch. I would probably just sharpen our eyes just a touch there. A little reflector underneath would bounce more light into her eyes and bring out even more of the color and stuff. But yeah, I like the framing on that. It's nice. This one I don't like as much because this one she's leaning into the camera and is like kind of engaging with the camera, whereas this one she's leaning back a little bit, which is sort of off-putting. Like, I don't know, it doesn't, and there's all this extra space that's kind of more dead space, so it doesn't feel like it fits all the way together the same way. They're very similar shots, but this one totally works for me, and this one, yeah, like, okay. If I hadn't seen the other one, I'd be like, oh, good job, but the other one is definitely better. All right, cool. So this one, using kind of the overhead lights, and you can see the line of the light makes a line in her eyes there. Let me just check the settings. F5.6. Whatever this lens is. Okay, the 18 to 55. So yeah, with one of those portrait lenses, we get this background blurred out way more, which would be kind of nice because it's a little bit busy with like people walking around and stuff. I mean, that's also kind of cool, I guess. But you would also be able to reduce some of the grain from ISO 2000. I think it's maybe cropped up a little too high. Like all this stuff makes her look short. Whereas if you're just oops, what did I just do? I usually think with a portrait, you want their head kind of near the top of the. I think that's better. It's a little bit more unified, and it's also gets kind of a mirror of this thing and this thing with the space. You've got 3 clear spaces. You've got this, this, this. That's kind of cool. When you're dealing with fluorescent light, it does weird colors. So like, I think if you take the yellow tones, you can take some of they get a little bit green, but if you just take those yellows over here and drag them over the red, then you get a little bit more natural tones that way. Took me years to realize that was a thing. This is nice, kind of cinematic. Again, I think it's cropped maybe a little bit too high. You usually don't want to see there. Let's do rule of thirds. What do I like better? Yeah, let's right down into there. Something like that. I mean, her expression is good. Good, pretty clear eyes. I would like to get a little bit more window light in there, if I possibly could. Where am I? Where did the rest of the pictures go? Previous import. Okay, there we are. So I think, yeah, because like these both are using kind of the overhead lights, which tend to be a little bit flat, and they make the camera work too hard, whereas window light's going to give you a little bit more kind of stuff to work with. This one is kind of cool. Like sometimes you want to be careful with playing with the angle too much. You can overdo it pretty easily. But I like her expression. It's a good expression. The lights kind of is nice there. I like the sort of weird feeling of the hallway going off in that other corner. Normally I'd say, no, you wasted the space, but with the kind of quirky angle and all that, I think it actually really works. I don't know if I'd want to crop this guy out or not. I guess it's okay. I mean, there's something going on there, so that's kind of cool. Focus is good sharp on the eyes. Color is good. Yeah, I like that. I like this better. I mean, this one's a little bit more of a traditional kind of thing. Very clear eyes there, good light in the eyes. I like the snow in her hair. That's kind of cool. Looks like there might be a little bit of that green chromatic aberration in the background. Let's see if we can fix that. When there's backlighting, depending on whether it's in front of the camera or behind it, you get kind of colors that come out either green or purple. Lens corrections. Let's try and get rid of some of that. I don't know if you can see that on the video or not, but I just, instead of being kind of green, that becomes gray. So, yeah. There might be a little bit of extra it looks like a little bit going a little bit nuts with increasing the shadows and decreasing the highlights, which kind of makes the color tone a little bit weird, but I think it's a pretty cool shot. This one looks a little bit more natural to me. Like, see how the colors in this are a little bit more vibrant? This one looks like more natural light. Again, there's a kind of a quirky style in framing that I think can get out of control sometimes, but it seems to have a good kind of feel to it. I would have moved a little bit to the left so that her head is blocking this thing, because that's a little distracting to me. But otherwise, yeah, this is cool. A little bit of noise because it's probably shot at a high ISO because it was cloudy and crappy out. 1/1600th. Oh, ISO 100. Oh, but you boosted your exposure up a lot, I guess, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure what's causing the noise there, because I think maybe, did you underexpose it before and then boost it in Photoshop? That's probably what happened. When you do have to do that, it increases kind of noise, and you'll see it, like, particularly in these kind of darker sections. It gets a little noisy. So, things to keep an eye on. Good garage door lighting. Nice and sharp on her eyes. It's a little bit sharper on this one. I'd rather have the focus nail this eye than that one, because this one's a little bit closer to us. But look at those catch lights in the eye. That's very cool. And then it's just all kind of black behind there. And I wonder, with these things, I don't like to mess with them too much. Just a little bit of boosting the exposure without, I don't want to screw up her skin tones too much. But I do want to bring out a little bit more of this texture in the hair there. You can always brush that in if you wanted. Yeah, this is cool. I think it's a little bit of extra space. Cropping it in right like that is like, okay, this is a picture of this dude. It's definitely a little bit on the dark side. Let's see. It's the 85mm 1.8, 150. Oh, okay, look at this. F10. No. So here's what happened. So you're at ISO 1600, 150th of a second at F10. F10 makes your aperture very small and reduces the light, and also brings back more detail here. And while a little bit of detail in the background is kind of nice, I guess, I'd rather blur it out. So drop that down to F1.8. And then that would allow you to shoot at 1/100th of a second pretty easily, and like ISO 200, which would take out all that grain and bring back more detail in his face. This one's kind of cool, different kind of look. This is her crabby look, right? Her eyes are a little bit too close to the center for me, so I would crop it in just a touch. Yeah, it's okay to lose a little bit of her head. If it gets too much, so it looks like hair's growing out of a weird, like, no forehead, then that's kind of weird, but this works pretty well. On my screen, it could do with a little bit of brightening. Good expression. He looks thoughtful. I like that he's got his knees up, it looks like, so that's what this arm is kind of going around, maybe. I wonder what that looks like in black and white. Looks okay. Yeah, I like this. Focus is good. I like the kind of graininess. It adds a certain classy style to it. Good framing. This one's cool. I just like the way, there's a little bit of motion, like camera shake on there, but I like the way it works with a fish and these kind of lines and stuff, and the light and color going in. I like that. Am I zoomed way in? Okay. Yeah, and this one is also kind of cool. You can tell with a 35mm, it makes her head look like it's a little bit forward and stuff, but yeah, very flattering light, good shot. This one, like I was saying, I think would be better cropped. So if we go to like a 2x3, oops, maybe let's say 8x10, not 8.5x11. So we get a little bit wider. Something like that. There we go. Yeah, I think that's kind of cooler. Like there's a clear thing, whereas if on the original there's all this dead space over here that we don't really look at because there's a border very clearly made by this. But then the light is good on his face and stuff, so that's cool. Yeah, nice backlighting. It's a little bit grainy, but I like that. I like her expression. I like the clear kind of use of color. Like this is one color that we've got going here, and it goes well with the color of her lipstick. And you know, yeah. This one's also cool. Good. Maybe it looks like maybe a little bit of too much extra brightening on the eyes, but that could be just a reflector going there. But I like the use of the snow kind of falling and stuff. She's got a good expression. Yeah, that one's cool. Sometimes I would say there's a little bit of space here, crop it in, but I like all the snow kind of coming down, so maybe not. Yeah, that's a very nice, flattering, focused portrait. I like that. I like the drama from the window light, and she's looking out at stuff. I don't much like this branch here that looks like it's coming out of her head, almost like an ant's antenna. But the color tones and stuff, maybe a little bit overly sharpened. You can tell when you zoom in, you start seeing like white, like the sharpening parts kind of glow, that you maybe went a little bit overboard there. But the shot is really nice. And this is cool too. It's like one of my Reed posters. Yeah. I wonder if you can see it's window light on her eyes, but I would have thought they would have brightened her eyes up a little bit more than that. I wonder if you could get closer to the window to bring out even a little bit more. And then it would fall off in the background too. Yeah, good expression. She's thinking something there. And the fact that the barn door light was kind of faked by blacking it out, it doesn't look fake. Because it's there, it's just subtle. So you're just saying like, listen, that's what I did. I just need to make it come out even more. And I like the snowflake right here. That's cool. And then this one's kind of blurred, but you can just see the shape of it. Very neat. And then just the stairs kind of set up. I like that one. Definite personality. That one's okay. That one's more fun. Yeah, that one's maybe a little bit too close and straight on. I think that's my issue with that one too, is this one, there's more angles and stuff going on. That one's good. Good eyes. You know, he's not looking straight at it. He's looking at the camera, but his face is turned away. I like that. This one, I think, probably could be done black and white. Because there's not a whole lot of color that I see that's going on there. Just being like, hey, what's up? Looking like celebrities. Cool. I like that with the framing. I think if you go 8x10, we still get that same off-center kind of feel, but we don't get quite so dominated by this wood here. That's pretty cool. This one's nice. Seems like the ISO is a little bit too high up, a little bit overly grainy, and I think it definitely needs to be cropped in. We don't want to waste all that space. It's a picture of the person, so let's focus on that person. This one's better. Better framing. I would put her head more in this space. If you're going to have empty space, have her looking into the empty space rather than kind of like lurking behind her head. This light is good. Her face, she looks a little bit like not completely comfortable yet, but it's a nice shot. And I like the color in her eyes. It's good. Oh, another one was 2048s. A little bit small, but this one I can definitely see how this was inspired by the Jordan Matter. I feel like it could be brightened just a touch. Something like that. And then maybe just a little bit of clarity. A little bit of tension in his mouth there, kind of like he's about to say something, which once you nail that kind of shot, you're like, oh, I got the shot that I want. Feel free to, shoot 20 or 30 of it where you just have him shake his face out and take the tension out and stuff. This is pretty cool. This is using, I think, with the SBN lights, right? Because you can see like the lights coming, the catch lights coming from those lights. Those are nice because you can control them. They're not super bright, so that can be they can sort of force your camera to work a little harder than you might hope. I like the framing. Is there a little bit of... It's just a tiny touch of motion blur on this one. But I think it's cool, like that you're getting the hands involved. I feel like this one could be cropped in. We don't need that space at the top of the head. And then what we've got is like, broop, broop, broop. We got 3 distinct elements in the shot. That's cool with the light coming in from behind. Yeah. And this is good, kind of just happy. It almost looks like a selfie, except for like framed well, you know? Like I'm just thinking that with her arm kind of coming out like that, it looks like she could be holding the camera. Skin tones are good, good use of the framing, good light on the eyes. A little soft. I wonder if that's 75mm Canon Rebel T6. So yeah, that's because you're using the kit lens at 7.1, ISO 6400. So in addition to giving grain at 6400, it also just takes out some of the color rendition and the quality of the light. So we'll get you one of those better lenses one of these days and you'll have a blast. This is pretty nice. I feel like it's a little bit on the purpley side. That looks like a more natural skin tone to me. I'll brighten it back up a little bit. Maybe a little vibrance. Yeah, something like that. I think that looks more natural, while still keeping the background the way it was. All right, I haven't seen these ones. This is good light. You can see this is where the direct light is hitting. It's very bright, and then this is the off the direct light is the sort of feathered light, which is much softer and more flattering. You can kind of play with that, deciding it's a little bit distracting here because it's so bright it like pulls your eyes there. But there, yeah, the exposure is good. Good light on the eyes there. Good sharpness. Good focus. This one's more even in the light, but I feel like the focus isn't quite as good. Like her eyes are a little bit blurry there, so I'm not sure what happened there. That's fun. Good personality. But again, it's a little bit too far off the light. It's actually a little bit dark. The focus isn't quite as nailed. Like, even though this little bit of bright is a little bit distracting, I like the quality of the light in general here. So you usually want to get, when you've got direct window light, you want to get very close to it, but not quite in it. And just on that note, now that I'm choking on my water, I think we'll call it a day. You guys, you did a good job, all of you. Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. But I like the focus and the attention to detail that you guys are showing. So that's great. We'll just keep getting better as the year goes on. This is gonna be awesome.